Underlying love, beneath the surface it lies, in the whispers of secrets and unspoken ties, caught between the heart's gentle tug and the dance of romance, in the arms of love.
You are listening to Bradley Barkhurst's Underlying Love, a Worthington, Ohio mystery. Chapter 8, Part 1, Rumble at the Game. Elizabeth barely slept all night, unnerved by the chilling threat left on her doorstep. As daylight crept in, she mulled over who would do such a thing. Was it Dr. Bentley? The ominous note proved she was getting closer to unraveling this mystery, and that made someone desperate. Mustering her courage as the morning brightened, Elizabeth carefully picked up the piece of paper and went to show Betty. Her hands trembled, but she refused to be paralyzed by fear. Elizabeth knocked urgently on Betty's door. The chilling note clenched tightly in her fist. Betty emerged in her nightgown, blinking awake.
"What is it, dear?"
she asked worriedly, seeing Elizabeth's distraught state. Elizabeth burst into tears, holding up the piece of paper. Betty quickly ushered her inside and settled her on the couch.
"I'll put some tea on,"
she soothed before heading to the kitchen. Elizabeth continued weeping as the kettle boiled. Betty returned with steaming mugs of Earl Grey tea and a plate of her famous lemon bars. As they sipped their tea, Elizabeth described the pumpkin smashing, an ominous message left outside her home.
"I was too shocked and afraid to come get you last night. I'm sorry,"
she finished tearfully. Betty patted her hand reassuringly.
There, don't you worry. From now on, you come straight here whenever you need to. We're partners in this investigation, after all."
She drew Elizabeth into a comforting embrace.
"With everything that's happened, losing Gracie, your mother not coming back, this was the last straw."
Drawing back, Betty's expression hardened with determination.
"But we are going to the Worthington police station right now about these threats. I'm calling a cab."
At the station, Officer Jameson had Elizabeth come into his room and had Betty wait in the hallway. Elizabeth urgently recounted everything: the pumpkin threat, seeing Bailey's truck near the crime scene, the eerie glowing eye in the woods, and their suspicion of Dr. Bentley's involvement.
"I know Hobo Jeff is being framed,"
Elizabeth insisted.
"The real killer is still out there."
Officer Jameson took out his notepad, holding up a hand.
"Now, Miss Russo, I know your intentions are good, but we have a confession from Jeff for Mr. Collins' murder. He gave it to us just before the Franklin County Sheriff's Office took him into custody."
He continued gently.
"As for Mr. Bailey's death, he was a known drunkard who likely stumbled down those stairs. And that beast you saw was probably just some teen smoking in the woods. La Prosa cigars are made right here in Ohio, and all sorts of people smoke them, not just Dr. Bentley."
Jameson put a hand on her shoulder.
"Take it from me, Dr. Bentley is a good man and a good friend of the Collins family. He was away at a conference in Chicago when Collins was killed. I know that because we're in the same poker club. He was away that week."
Elizabeth was crestfallen.
"But officer, I swear something sinister is happening in Worthington."
Jameson just smiled sympathetically. Elizabeth pressed Jameson about the voices at Bailey's house and the pumpkin threat, but he dismissed it all as misunderstandings and pranks. As she left his office, Jameson pulled Elizabeth aside while Betty waited in the hall.
Okay. We'll increase the patrols around your street. Now look, Miss Russo, I know you mean well, but please leave this to the professionals,"
he said sternly.
"Focus on teaching, not amateur sleuthing."
He leaned in and whispered,
And frankly, it's not good for you to spend so much time with Betty. She has a history of wild imaginings. We've been called about her ranting before. Don't get sucked into her eccentric conspiracy theories.
Elizabeth bristled, but held her tongue. Storming out, she found Betty waiting expectantly.
That man is impossible?
Elizabeth fumed.
He all but called me a hysterical woman caught up in fantasy. I know what I witnessed, Betty.
Betty nodded firmly.
Of course you do. And we're not giving up, no sir. Investigating is in my bones, so don't you listen to that condescending policeman.
Elizabeth felt heartened by her stalwart friend.
You're right. We're the only ones trying to shed light on the darkness plaguing this village. We'll keep pursuing the truth, no matter what Jameson thinks.
Linking arms, the two women marched out of the station, heads held high. Elizabeth was through being dismissed and intimidated. With Betty by her side, she would unravel this mystery, no matter how sinister the forces aligned against them. The light of truth would prevail. The following week passed tensely but uneventfully. True to their word, police presence increased substantially, keeping the shadow forces temporarily at bay. Fall deepened, and leaves transformed Worthington into a dazzling palette of gold, orange, and red. With Halloween past, thoughts turned to November, and the upcoming Fall Harvest Festival, held annually uptown, was that weekend. The approach of the festival brought comfort to Elizabeth, signaling life and renewal continued even amidst the lingering darkness. Worthington's heart still beat resiliently, if uncertainly. Elizabeth taught her students the history of the festival and its spirit of gratitude. Their innocent excitement lifted her spirits. She volunteered for decoration duty at the festival, determined to spread some light. As Elizabeth walked into downtown Worthington, she looked up and still noticed the village's water tower painted with Beat Groveport. She smiled, reminded of the long-standing tradition for Worthington High students to sneak up and graffiti the tower with slogans against their big football rivals, the Groveport Cruisers. But she also shuddered at the thought of a student accidentally falling from the tower. Some merchants had also put up signs in their windows saying, "Squash those cruisers," and "Cardinals soar above." Thursday evening arrived, and Elizabeth dressed up for her dinner date with George, determined to enjoy a pleasant night out of town. George arrived in his father's sleek black sedan, honking the horn gallantly. Elizabeth emerged in a simple black dress, managing a smile.
I thought we'd try that new place, the Blue Danube.
George said as they drove down High Street towards Columbus. Inside the restaurant, the host welcomed them into the restaurant.
Or as we like to call it, the Doob.
He proclaimed with a flourish, leading the two to a candlelit table and handing them menus. A slow ballad was being played on the radio, and Elizabeth needed the calmness for a change. After ordering wine, George reached across the table for Elizabeth's hand.
I do apologize for being so pushy about the wedding lately. Work's just been a bear preparing for year-end.
He smiled gently in the candlelight.
But how have you been holding up, sweetheart?
Elizabeth considered unloading all her suspicions about the murders, but the wine was so relaxing, and the restaurant's muted bustle soothing. She decided to simply enjoy an evening's reprieve from the chaos.
Oh, just keeping busy with school and staying out of trouble?
She replied lightly. Their food arrived aromatically steaming.
Garlic baked chicken for the lady, and beef stroganoff for the gentleman.
said the waiter as he placed the steaming plates on the table. As they ate and chatted about innocuous topics like work and books, the knotted tension inside Elizabeth slowly began unwinding. She let the wine and George's familiar presence set her mind temporarily at ease. By dessert, a warm haziness had settled over her with her slice of apple pie. For the first time in weeks, the shadows encroaching on Worthington felt held at bay. Not solved permanently, but kept safely in the periphery for an evening. After dinner, George dropped Elizabeth off at home, kissing her in the car. The two walked up to the front porch. He gestured to the markings left on the door from the smashed pumpkin.
What happened here?
He asked with concern. Elizabeth tensed slightly, not wanting to worry him.
Oh, probably just some mischief-making high schoolers,
She said lightly.
You know how they are on Halloween.
George's eyes narrowed briefly, but then he seemed to accept this.
Well, let me know if you have any more trouble. I'd be happy to patrol the neighborhood to keep an eye out.
That's very kind of you,
Elizabeth replied.
but I'm sure it was just a harmless prank.
She said goodnight and gave him another kiss before George could inquire further. Inside, she leaned against the closed door with a sigh. The evening had been a nice distraction, but she couldn't keep brushing off George's questions forever. Nor could she avoid facing the threats encircling her. Looking around the darkened and empty house, Elizabeth shivered. She thought of calling Samuel or Betty for comfort, but decided not to disturb their evenings. Tomorrow, she would resume her investigation with renewed determination. But for now, she double-checked the locks and retreated to her room. Lying in bed with the covers pulled tight, she stayed alert to any suspicious sounds in the creaking old home. Exhausted yet vigilant, Elizabeth finally drifted off, the necklace from Aunt Gracie clutched in her hand. She found some solace knowing she did not stand alone against the shadows looming over Worthington.
Thank you for listening to Bradley Barkhurst's Underlying Love, a Worthington, Ohio mystery. How will George's concern for Elizabeth's safety evolve as he becomes more aware of the dangers she faces? With tensions escalating, will Elizabeth and her allies uncover the truth behind the sinister forces plaguing Worthington, or will they face new obstacles and setbacks? And will Betty find her missing Jell-O recipe? Be sure to tune in for more during Chapter 8, Part 2, Rumble at the Game. Please like and subscribe to this channel and purchase the novel Underlying Love, a Worthington, Ohio mystery.